Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go! I was heading to Paris for a business conference, and I remember feeling a mix of excitement and nervous as I boarded the plane. Little did I know this flight would be anything but ordinary. As I settled into my seat, I noticed a woman across the aisle. Let's call her Karen. She had this air of impatience about her, constantly checking her watch and sighing loudly. At first, I didn't pay much attention. I was too busy going over my presentation in my head. The flight took off smoothly, and that's when the calm atmosphere started to unravel. A couple of rows ahead were two young mothers, each with a baby. As it often happens, a change in air pressure seemed to bother the little ones, and they began to cry. I felt a pang of sympathy for the mothers. It's never easy traveling with infants, but Karen, she had a different reaction. She started muttering under her breath, loud enough for those nearby to hear. "Can't people control their brats?" she grumbled. One of the mothers tried to soothe her baby, rocking him gently and whispering calming words. The other was a bit more flustered, clearly a new mom. She was doing her best to keep her baby quiet. And that's when Karen lost it. She turned to her seatmate, a middle-aged man who seemed as uncomfortable as the rest of us with the situation, and said, "Can you believe this? I paid good money for this flight, and I have to listen to this racket?" The man just shrugged, clearly not wanting to get involved. But Karen wasn't having it. She stood up, leaned over the seat, and yelled at the mothers. "Can you shut those babies up? Some of us are trying to have a peaceful flight here." The whole cabin went silent. Everyone was shocked. The young mother with a fussy baby started to cry, apologizing profusely to the other passengers. It was heartbreaking. But Karen wasn't done. She marched over to the mothers, and before anyone could react, she slapped one of the mothers across the face. The sound echoed through the cabin. A collective gasp filled the air. The flight attendants rushed over trying to defuse the situation, but Karen was beyond reason. She slapped the other mother as well, all while ranting about her rights as a passenger. The captain was notified, and a decision was made to divert the flight to Vienna. The situation was too volatile to continue to Paris. The police were waiting at the airport to escort Karen off the plane. The rest of the flight was in a state of shock. Everyone was talking about the incident. The mothers were consoled by the flight attendants and fellow passengers. I was so angry. How could someone be so entitled and heartless? When we finally landed in Vienna, the police boarded the plane. Karen was still ranting, claiming she was a victim, but she was taken off the plane, handcuffed and shouting about suing the airline. The rest of the journey was uneventful, but the atmosphere was somber. Some 15 years ago, I worked in a local shipyard that focuses on repair work and refitting of all ship types. The yard resides in Europe. Now it's important to note we have a 200+ meter dry dock and roughly the same in the pier for outfitting. At this particular time, we had two medium passenger ferries docked, and they were moored on both sides of the dry dock's dam, leaving 50 meters between them, mostly water. I had a newish boss on a job after my old boss had retired. The new boss was very stuck up and entitled, so we shall call him the entitled boss. Other people that come up in his story are me, my co-worker, let's call him Matt, not his real name, and the first officer of the other ship. It's normal for our yard to be understaffed by a lot, by half at least. So a normal work day was between 12 and 16 hours, 6 to 7 days a week. We were well paid for all the overtime, so we didn't mind. We were really busy on these ships, and they were moored aft to aft, so we were able to lift all materials on their aft rams with a crane. I worked with a crane as a guy who arranges lifts and communicates with the operator at the pier. Matt did the same ship side. We worked well together and had done that together a lot. I was in my late 20s, Matt was in his 50s. This one morning, the entitled boss comes to us and lets us know of a new job. "I have a small extra job for you to do since you are not that busy. There are about 20 lifts on the pier, and more always comes during the day." I noted to him. Matt was quite silent, he never really talked much anyway. "I have a dredge coming in 2 hours. You will lift a bucket and the bucket arm on the dredge. A quick job, just lift the 3 things off. It should be done in 30 minutes. Just 30 minutes? Yes, they are detached already. Okay, boss. Matt looked doubtful. We started working lifting all we could in 2 hours. Then we saw the dredge. This thing was big. The bucket was 60 tons alone, and the two sections of the arm were 60 tons and 80 tons. Oh, and the heavier bit was still attached. At this point, I groaned, but Matt grinned from ear to ear and told me, "Boss's orders, boss's responsibility." Then I grinned. Cue malicious compliance. We got to work and set the crane in position in a way that it was closest to the dredge due to weight. This also meant it blocked another cranes from lifting to either ferries anything. We got the bucket unloaded on a trailer, and this took an hour. Then we lifted the other half of the arm. It took an hour to attach to the crane. Oops, lunchtime. Union rules. Then one more hour to unload it. Now the last arm bit was tricky. We had to suspend it from the crane and remove the bins that held it to the digger half of the dredge. The pins are relatively small, only 200 kilograms or 440 pounds each, and held in place by a few tons of pull or weight of the arm. It took us 4 hours to free the pins. So any of who are keeping track at this point, we were 7.5 hours into a half-hour job. At this point, some crew from both ships and a lot of people from the shipyard were watching us work. This was due to the fact nothing had been lifted to either ship in the past 7 to 8 hours, and guys had to stop working. And this is when I met a very excited and a red first officer of the ship. "What the hell are you doing? Why are we not getting materials in?" he asks. "Well, you need to talk to him. His orders." As I pointed to the boss on a dock. Not quite sure what was said, but the first officer probably tore him a new one and proceeded to stomp back aboard his ship. I saw him exchange a few words with the captain of the ship, and the captain was calling his phone. It took about 5 minutes for our CEO to get to the pier and proceeded to chew my boss's rear. I'm pretty sure he was sitting funny after that. We finished the job right around 8 hours and proceeded to lift our backed up lift queue on board the ships. For some weird reason, he never told me how to do my job or had any quick jobs after that. As I had heard, he was let go a few years later. Just to be clear, these lifts were difficult due to having to adjust the lifting cable length and parts being so heavy. Also, the attachment points were fairly high up and the cable we used to lift the weight around 10 tons. We never stalled on a job, not our style, but we were very thorough in our work that day. Also, we broke a winch pulling the other pin and had to get a new one. It took some time and explanation. A bit of backstory / personal beliefs. I'm willing to help my friends, but we all know someone who has themselves a friend who is a group mooch. The kind of person who knows you're getting together and just shows up with nothing in hand and expects to be given free food / booze the entire time. Yet sadly, you put up with them till it gets to the breaking point of wanting to beat them senseless with a shovel. This story is about said friend whom I finally got to the breaking point with. My moocher friend isn't tick-like at all. He has zero respect for tech and constantly uses me as his go-to man when stuff goes sideways. Almost always his doing. This is from the olden days of Windows 8 being a fresh hot mess. That was the next big thing everyone hated because it took the standard Windows interface, beat it over the head with a bat, tossed a bloody corpse into a wood chipper, then proceeded to light the remaining slurry on fire with military-grade napalm. I hate Windows 8 in case you didn't pick up on that. He had recently bought a laptop for his daughter since she was starting to need it for school and he wanted the mobile PC to use when he felt like it. Pretty sure he just wanted it for himself, but needed to convince the wife to pay the expense. Instead of asking me for input, he decided he was just going to go to Big Blue Multi-Story and buy the cheapest laptop model that rhymes with hell. It took less than a day of him fighting with it to call me to ask if I'd put Windows 7 on it because he hated Windows 8. I asked why not return it and get a Windows 7 model, to which he responded, "Big Blue doesn't have any Windows 7, only 8, and my daughter really needs this computer." Sure she does. I agree and he drops it off within an hour. I should note that this happened just after Windows 8 dropped and there were no classic shell programs out. That simply said, get lost in new piece of crap tablet design, or using the old one everyone knows and can use. So my options were limited. Did an initial look at what I was getting myself into, and lucky me, Hell had only put out drivers for Windows 8 for this model. Yay! I do about 6 hours worth of hunting / downloading / tweaking drivers as I install Windows 7. I had to cherry pick working drivers for most of the hardware. The rest I got to work through sheer trial and error. I made a restore desk, packed up and labeled every driver for the system in individual numbered folders in case I needed to redo anything on this piece of crap. My friend is notorious for screwing up his computer's operating system. I give him a ring and let him know it's good to go, and he picks it up the next day. Less than 2 weeks later, he texts me, saying something's wrong with it. It won't do blah blah blah, or I can't get it to do what I want. Shocking, I know. I just restore from the disk I made and give it back the same day. Let's see how long this lasts. Almost a week later, same thing. Again, a quick restore and I give it back. This time it took almost a whole 3 weeks till I got a text. Now I'm pissed. What the hell is he doing to this thing to screw up the operating system? I finally took the time to look at the system and see what the hell was going on. He had a bunch of cracked games downloaded and was trying to run those. A bunch of virus / malware on it. Oh, and a bunch of shady sites on his browser history. I am livid. The only reason I kept fixing this damn thing was because it was supposed to be his daughter's. I got a hold of his wife to see exactly who was really using the laptop and for what. Turns out he told her it was having issues and he was constantly trying to fix it at home and even took it to work to mess around with it when he had time. He was a manager at a hut that sells pizza. He's one of those real hands-on managers who lets everyone know what needs to be done, then gets lost in the office. So I get the evil idea of fixing things my way. My first step to fixing things my way was to make an admin account that only I had the info for and limit the other account to a limited user. When I talked to his wife, I got a good idea of what his daughter really likes as far as shows, games and so on. Him this laptop out for a 10-year-old girl. My Little Pony wallpapers, about 100 on rotation, the entire My Little Pony cartoon show stored directly on a computer. Bratz, Barbie and the works. I even redid the icons to a My Little Pony theme and tweaked the user interface to be pink / purple colored. I made sure there was a parental lock on the browsers to prevent anything inappropriate sites related from even showing up on a laptop. I installed TeamViewer and locked in my personal credentials so I could get on anytime I needed. And just for good measure, I installed a handy program called Deep Freeze. For those unfamiliar with it, it snapshots the drive as is and restores the drive to that exact image every time the power cycles. Only downside to this program is you lose anything you save on a computer when the power cycles. Not a problem since I had gotten a bulk pack of thumb drives that were multicolored and came with lanyards. I even went a step above and beyond and got a My Little Pony skin for the laptop lid in case he thought of taking it to work again. I personally delivered the laptop this time when the wife and daughter were home. The girly high-pitched squeals of joy that nearly ruptured my eardrums made it all worth it. She went off on a joy-induced tirade as I showed her and her mom everything I did, including all the shows and games I put on just for her. I then gave her a bright pink thumb drive with purple lanyard and explained that when she wanted to play the games or save anything, the drive needed to be plugged in. I set the save path for all the games to the thumb drive and added a shortcut to the drive itself on a desktop to make sure she wouldn't lose any schoolwork she was doing. I made sure both her and her mom knew the thumb drive had to be plugged in, otherwise things wouldn't be saved. I didn't mention the parental lock I set up for Deep Freeze. I wanted it to be a surprise for my friend later. Both her and her mom thanked me. I got a big hug from the daughter who was still flying around on cloud 9. She was begging her mom to watch My Little Pony with her before I even left. I knew it was only a matter of time till I got an angry text / call from my friend. As soon as he got a chance to use a laptop, I was waiting with gleeful anticipation. I had dropped the laptop off on Monday, and I knew he wouldn't get a chance to use it till Friday when he got back from a trip he took. Cut to Friday night and I get a call around 8 a.m. which I ignore and let go to voicemail. I get 3 more calls every 5 to 10 minutes which I also ignore. Then I get a bunch of texts which I ignored till about 11 p.m. when I figured he had ample time to try and screw the laptop to only be shut down at every attempt. I call him up with an especially snarky attitude, acting half asleep just to piss him off. Finally, where have you been? I tried calling you and texting, but you never responded. Yeah, I had a long day, so I took an evening nap. What's up? What's up? This piece of crap laptop is busted. That's what's up. I can't get anything to work right. I downloaded a game and tried installing it, but it says I don't have admin rights. I restarted it and the game files were gone completely, so I re-downloaded it but still couldn't install it. It's not even letting me browse the web. I thought you fixed this. What the hell? Calm down, I'm sure it's something simple. Let me remote in. Wait, you can do that? Yeah, I got sick of having to have it dropped off, so I installed remote software. Let's see, the first thing I do is remotely restart the system. It did it again! What? The game I downloaded is gone from the desktop. Oh yeah, I put software on a laptop that restores it to a default setting. Anything not saved done, an external drive gets removed. I gave your wife and daughter a thumb drive. Didn't they tell you it was needed? No. What the hell? Why would you do a stupid thing like that? Well, I've had to fix this thing 3 times already and I got sick of it, so I made sure anything you downloaded or tried to install will be deleted then blocked. You don't have admin rights. I do. Last time there were over a dozen viruses/malware from your games and the games you were trying to run will barely run on this laptop even if you had legit versions. What the heck? Insert 15-minute trends I didn't pay any attention to because I don't care. Why won't it let me browse the web? Are you sure? Let's see. I brought up Google and started browsing standard sites and hit a few cartoon sites I favored for his daughter. Everything looks fine to me. Could you be referring to the inappropriate sites that were in the browser history on your daughter's laptop? Ah, yeah, I thought so. See, me being the upstanding guy I am, I turned on parental controls to keep web browsing safe for your 10-year-old daughter. The heck is wrong with you? But, no buts. It took a lot of work to get this thing working for your daughter's sake, and then you use it as your personal play toy, which I had to fix 3 times. I am done with your nonsense. I made it so your daughter can use her laptop when and how she needs. If you want to get your own laptop and screw it up beyond repair, that's fine by me. No more freebies if you screw something up being an idiot. If you think this is unfair, I'd be more than happy to let your wife know exactly what the issue with the laptop was, including screenshots of your browsing history. I don't mind helping, but you go above and beyond being a mooch all the time. Anything else you need help with? No. Have a great weekend. Click. Haven't spent over 18 years in customer service/tech support, so I went a bit nuclear on him, but I had had enough of his crap. Reminds me of all too many times the problem isn't the hardware or the software, it's the me puppet smashing their face against the keyboard and wondering why stuff doesn't work. So I simply removed that part of the equation. Amazingly enough, he didn't have any more issues with that laptop. Wonder why? Only time I was gotten a hold of was by his wife asking me to update some things and install some software the daughter needed for school, which I was more than happy to do.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.